Once upon a time, in a hidden kingdom, a single drop of sunlight fell from the heavens. From this small drop of sun, a magical golden flower grew. It had the power to heal the sick and injured. An old woman named Mother Gothel found this flower and, instead of sharing its gift, she hoarded its magic to keep herself young for hundreds of years, just by singing a special song to it. Centuries later, the kingdom's beloved queen fell gravely ill while expecting her child. In a desperate search for a cure, the king's guard scoured the land and, by a stroke of luck, discovered the magical flower. They used it to brew a potion that healed the queen. Soon after, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, a princess with hair the color of the sun itself. They named her Rapunzel. To celebrate her birth, the king and queen launched a flying lantern into the sky, a tradition they would continue every year in hopes of her return. But Mother Gothel was not about to lose her source of eternal youth. Furious and desperate, she snuck into the castle one night, planning to cut a lock of the baby's hair. But when she snipped a piece, the hair turned brown, its magic gone. Realizing the magic was tied to the princess herself, Gothel did the unthinkable. She stole the child and vanished into the night, raising Rapunzel as her own daughter in a tall, hidden tower deep in the forest with no stairs or doors. The only way in or out was through a single window at the very top. For 18 long years, Rapunzel lived in that tower. Her golden hair grew and grew, reaching an astonishing 70 feet in length. Its magical properties remained, glowing and healing whenever she sang the special song Gothel had taught her. Gothel used this power daily to restore her own youth, all while filling Rapunzel's head with terrifying stories about the outside world, convincing her it was a dangerous place full of selfish people who would want to use her hair for themselves. Despite her isolation, Rapunzel was a vibrant and creative soul. Her days were filled with painting, baking, reading, and dreaming. Her best friend was a small, silent chameleon named Pascal. But her biggest dream, the one she held closest to her heart, was to see the floating lights that appeared in the sky every year on her birthday. She didn't know why, but she felt a deep, unexplainable connection to them. On the eve of her 18th birthday, Rapunzel finally gathered the courage to ask Gothel if she could leave the tower to see the floating lights. As expected, Gothel flew into a rage, cruelly reminding her of the dangers outside and forbidding her from ever leaving. Heartbroken, Rapunzel retreated, but the seed of defiance had been planted. Meanwhile, a charming and dashing thief named Flynnrider, along with his partners, the Stabbington brothers, had just stolen the lost princess's crown from the royal castle. In a thrilling chase, Flynn double-crossed his partners and escaped with the crown, pursued by the relentless palace horse, Maximus. Flynn's escape led him deep into the forest, where he stumbled upon a clearing and saw the impossible, a tall, secluded tower with no visible entrance. Thinking it was the perfect hiding spot, he used a few arrows to climb the sheer stone wall and slipped through the window at the top. He was immediately knocked unconscious by a frying pan wielded by none other than Rapunzel. When Flynn woke up, he found himself tied to a chair with long, golden hair. Rapunzel, both terrified and fascinated by her first-ever visitor, had hidden the crown. She saw her opportunity. She struck a deal with the handsome thief. She would return his precious satchel with the crown if, and only if, he would act as her guide to see the floating lights. Flynn, desperate to get the crown back, reluctantly agreed. And so for the first time in her life, Rapunzel left the tower. The moment her feet touched the soft grass, a wave of conflicting emotions washed over her: exhilaration and terror, joy and guilt. But with Flynn by her side, her excitement soon won out. Their journey began, and it was anything but smooth. They soon found themselves in a rowdy tavern called the Snuggly Duckling, filled with intimidating thugs and ruffians. Just when it seemed they were cornered, Rapunzel's innocent charm and heartfelt dream of seeing the lanterns won them over. The thugs, revealing their own hidden dreams, helped them escape from the palace guards who had tracked them there. Their adventure continued, filled with close calls and narrow escapes. They fled from guards, outsmarted Maximus the horse, and navigated a flooding cave. Through it all, a bond began to form between the sheltered princess and the cynical thief. Flynn, whose real name was Eugene Fitzherbert, revealed his past as an orphan who created the persona of flynnrider to survive. Rapunzel, in turn, showed him her magical hair, healing a cut on his hand. This moment of vulnerability brought them closer, and Eugene began to see the world Dan himself through her hopeful eyes. But Gothel had discovered Rapunzel was gone. In a panic, she found the crown and teamed up with the jilted Stabbington brothers, manipulating them into helping her get Rapunzel back. She staged a dramatic encounter, trying to convince Rapunzel that Eugene would abandon her once he got the crown. She gave Rapunzel the satchel, planting a seed of doubt in her mind. Despite this, Rapunzel and Eugene finally reached the kingdom. The city was alive with celebration for the lost princess's birthday. Rapunzel was swept up in the magic of it all, dancing with the townspeople and painting the streets. As night fell, Eugene took her out on a boat into the lake. It was the moment she had been waiting for her entire life. The sky filled with thousands of glowing lanterns, a breathtaking spectacle of light and hope. As they floated among the lights, Rapunzel gave Eugene back the crown, realizing she cared more about him than the treasure. Eugene, completely in love, was about to kiss her when he spotted the Stabbington brothers on the shore. Wanting to make things right, he went to give them the crown, but they ambushed him. They tied him to a boat and sent him sailing towards the castle, making it look like he was escaping with the crown. They then captured Rapunzel and tried to take her hair, but Gothel intervened, rescuing Rapunzel and taking her back to the tower. Heartbroken and believing Eugene had betrayed her, Rapunzel was back where she started. But as she looked around her room, her eyes fell on the sun symbol she had been painting her whole life, the same symbol she had seen on the kingdom's flag. Suddenly, all the pieces clicked into place. The sun, the flower, her hair, the floating lights on her birthday. She realized the truth. She was the lost princess. She confronted Gothel, who confirmed her suspicions with cruel delight. Just then, Eugene, having been rescued from prison by the tavern thugs and Maximus, arrived at the tower. He called out for Rapunzel, but Gothel stabbed him from behind. In desperation, Rapunzel promised to go with Gothel willingly and never resist again if she would let her heal Eugene. But just as she was about to use her magic, Eugene, with his last bit of strength, used a shard of glass to cut her hair short. The hair instantly turned brown, its magic gone forever. Gothel's age caught up with her in a horrifying flash. She rapidly withered, turning to dust and falling from the tower, gone for good. Rapunzel held a dying Eugene in her arms, her heart breaking. As she cried, a single tear, imbued with the last remnant of the sun's magic, fell onto his cheek and began to glow. His wound healed, and he was alive. Rapunzel, now free, returned to the kingdom with Eugene. The king and queen, seeing the familiar eyes of their daughter, embraced her in a tearful reunion. The kingdom celebrated the return of their lost princess. Eugene was pardoned, and he and Rapunzel eventually married. Rapunzel, no longer defined by her hair or her tower, ruled her kingdom with wisdom, kindness, and a spirit of adventure. She had found her true family, true love, and most importantly, her true self. And they all lived happily ever after. Thank you so much for watching this magical story unfold. If you enjoyed this retelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more enchanting tales. We'll see you in the next video.